Welcome to the Tucson Tasty Show. I'm Wesley Source here with Pastor John McLean of Veteran Rescue Mission. How you doing today, Pastor?
Good.
John?
Whoever you are, yeah. I'm good.
Where are you, Pastor John McLean?
This is our busy day where we hang out a lot today.
Yes.
So yeah, it's been an awesome day, and I definitely, just to kind of like a note to our earlier in the week Hero Breakfast networking group, that was fun. So I've definitely, for those who haven't been joining us every Wednesday at 9 a.m. at the Arizona Sands Club for our networking groups, I definitely invite you. They're fun. They're certainly a little something different from the other networking groups. Not that they're not just as well fun, but just a little something different. So
yeah, they are.
I invite you to join us.
Yeah, I missed this morning, but I mean, overall, those groups are great.
Mm-hmm. I love it.
Outstanding. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. We have some amazing people on the show, and before we get started, of course, we have to thank the special people that have brought us together. That would be Kiki Rogers of Country Financial Insurance, Faro Premium Beef, ERC Junction, Veteran Rescue Mission, Pitcher Rocks Cooling, Heating and Plumbing, Dirty Cactus Soap, and Mafia Kitchen.
Yep.
So we are now, it's time, should I say, for Coffee with the Guys Next Door.
Brought to you by Pitcher Rocks Cooling, Heating and Plumbing.
Thank you, Ron. And we also have a couple of special guests here in studio with us. Why don't you introduce the guests?
Yeah. We have Robert with R&R Mini Roll-Offs.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Hi, how you doing?
And Brandon with Roadrunner Coffee Company.
Yeah, hi guys. Hi, thanks for having me out.
Yeah, thank you for providing us some amazing coffee on such a cold day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if you missed it, you can go to Facebook and YouTube and actually see the podcast live, Coffee with the Guys Next Door. It was quite the event and super fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was.
And thank you for letting me use your little jacket astronaut cover thing, because I was.
Hey, we're trying to keep Pastor John warm between us.
I made the mistake of getting one of your signature fusion drinks with the ice on like a 30-degree day. So yeah, it was a bad decision making on my part, other than the fact that it was absolutely delicious. So
Glad to hear
thank
that.
you
But
for
definitely
that.
warm coffee weather here lately.
Yeah, for sure.
There you go.
Yeah.
So can you tell us a little bit about the history on that the Roadrunner, and I mean, how'd you guys get started? I mean, you didn't just start making coffee.
No, we didn't. Roadrunner started in the early 2000s here in Tucson by a previous owner and his wife.
Okay.
Who came down from Washington after their careers, had a dream of owning a coffee business. And so they towed down a small kind of shack or shed behind their car, is my understanding. And the original one was just off I-10 on the Cortero exit next to the Wendy's.
Interesting.
There's a little pad there, and they used to be right there. And they moved on from that to another shop, which I think had problems during the 2008 sort of meltdown. And so then they moved to the cafe on Thornydale, which is where I met you. And again, like I said, they had careers prior to this, and they ran this for about 15 years or so until myself and my business partner bought it in 2018.
Right.
So they wanted to sell it and move on with their lives, do probably the full retirement thing. And so me and my business partner came from Washington, and I found it for sale up there on Craigslist actually one night.
Really?
So,
Interesting.
yeah.
You can buy coffee shops on Craigslist.
You can buy anything on Craigslist.
Pretty much.
Wow.
I hear. I'm told.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, I'll go in there and look around. And it is terrifying what you find out there.
Well, 10 years ago, I operated my business wholly, like my marketing and advertising was Craigslist. So,
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
For sure. Yeah.
Goodness.
So
So we picked up the cafe in 2018, and then opened our first drive-through over on Wetmore, near Flowing Wells in Wetmore.
Right at the Auto Mall.
Right by the Auto Mall,
Yep.
correct. That was about 2020, beginning of 2020. And then we just opened up a similar location on Alvernon and Lee, a sort of Grant or Pima area.
Yeah.
how long ago was that?
And that's only been open about 4 months now.
Yeah, it's
Okay,
brand
that makes
new.
sense.
So that's
'cause,
our new one,
Because the
yeah.
other day I was meeting somebody at Roadrunner Coffee, and they're like, which location? I'm like, which location? What are you talking about? There's only the one that's right down the street from my house. And then he's like, he sent me the address of the other one. I was just like, oh, okay.
Yeah, we're a little spread out. We're
Yeah.
trying to hit some different areas of town and and cover some ground.
Right. But those other 2 locations, those are only drive-through?
That's correct.
Yeah.
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
The Wetmore location is a double-sided, so you can drive through on either side of the building. Albernon's just a single side, but yeah, just drive-through, no indoor seating or anything.
Yeah, I saw that building. That's actually a really cool building.
Yeah.
And just drive through and get that coffee.
Yeah.
I don't know. Or you could hit up every single one in one day.
Yes, yeah, like that.
Go to the stop at the hospital, get some downers. No.
What time do you start, or what time does do you open every day?
The cafe is open Monday through Friday from 6 to 5. That's the one on Thornydale, and on the weekends just till 4. And then our drive-throughs are open essentially 6 to 6 all week. Wetmore closes at 4 on Sundays. So there's a little bit of variability there, but more or less 6 to 5 all locations every day of the week.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I never realized that dynamic exists. The fact that
why do you even
need a coffee after
2 o'clock in the afternoon?
After 5, 6 o'clock. But
we get the second shifters or the late shifters, and people who knows what they're up to.
Army, come on! You didn't think about the swing shift or the night shift?
But that's true. Yeah, the swing shift and the night shift. Yeah, because I've worked both of those. So.
Yep.
Yeah.
I've worked those here in Tucson, and you wake up and the sun's down, and you go to sleep and the sun's down. And
what did you guys get from the place? I got the peach fusion drink. What drinks did you guys get?
I got the iced coffee, ice cold brew, and light ice, and it was about 40 degrees outside, and it was perfect.
I got the Snickerdoodle mocha.
You did?
Yeah, it was delicious. Yeah, but everything I get there, I'm in there constantly, and everything I get there is great.
Outstanding.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we have another guest that we have yet to hear from, and that's Robert of from the Roll-Off.
Yeah,
R&R
Mini Roll-Offs.
R&R Mini Roll-Offs.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
That's actually my superpower is messing up your business name. I apologize.
Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah, he got bit by
hours
a
and hours
radioactive
practicing,
spider.
and then I get in front of a microphone. I can't remember it.
I get that way too sometimes.
Fair enough. So tell us a little bit about what you do. I know that we just heard from you on the last segment, but what kind of businesses are you looking for?
I look for residential, commercial, tree roofers, pretty much anybody who needs a dumpster that can put it in their driveway and fill it up for me.
Outstanding. Well,
I have 3 different sizes, 15-yard, 17-yard, and 20-yard dumpsters. They range in price from $300 to $450, depends on location and how many days you need it for.
Fair enough. How can everybody get a hold of you?
You can call or text me at 520-534-8067 or Robert at rnrminirolloffs.com.
Perfect. One more time with the phone number.
520-534-8067.
Very good.
You use them all the time.
I do. I've used them before. Yep.
And
so, great service.
With Picture Rocks Cooling, Heating, and Plumbing.
I actually also used them for personal use.
Oh.
Yeah. I had a rental house that we were rehabbing, and I needed to get a bunch of stuff out of there. Old carpeting, some fencing, a bunch of stuff that the tenants had left. So had it all ready for him, and because at that location there was almost no driveway and there was no space on the road to put anything. So he pretty much pulled up, and we loaded it up within an hour and a half probably, and he took it away.
Yep. Yeah, I even helped him load it up and everything so we can get out of there a little faster.
I had everything staged right there for him. And
perfect.
Yeah.
And so like some of the people I'm looking for, like Ron owns Picture Rocks Cooling, Heating, and Plumbing, when they're doing a large duct remodel and stuff like that, they don't have nowhere to put their trash.
Right.
Yeah.
They can call me. I can drop a dumpster at the job site, house. They can do all their work they need to do, throw it all in the dumpster, and it's not
house remodels, large landscaping.
Yeah, and then it's not sitting on the ground, looking like a big old mess.
Right. Yeah.
What's the smallest unit you guys have, and are the smallest units you have? Is that what the type of job you're talking about, where it's like a tenant leaves their stuff in the clearing out apartment, or is that more like just a small landscape job? You would need a small unit for it.
Okay, so my dumpsters range in size from my smallest one's a 15-yard, which is 12 long, 5 high, 8 wide, and then my 17 and 20 yards are 14 long, 5 high, 8 wide, and then the 20-yard is just a foot taller.
Okay. I think I might have gotten the medium-sized one.
You got the small green one.
I did get the small green one.
Okay. The small green one was the...
That's what I said.
And I see Brandon over there. He's thinking about it. He's like, we had a lot of coffee ground. So.
Very familiar with the Plus, I spent my prior career in construction, so
okay.
build up many a roll loss.
What do you do with all of your excess coffee grounds?
Well, a lot of it just goes to the garbage, but we do have some people who do come and pick it up and use it in their gardens.
Yeah, composting it.
We've definitely had people come and request all of our espresso grounds. But for the most part, it just kind of gets tossed.
Fair enough. Okay. Well, thank you so much for joining us here today on Coffee with the Guys Next Door, brought to you by Picture Rock's Cooling and Heating and Plumbing, and the first segment of the Tucson Tasty Show. I'm your host, Wesley Source. We'll be right back after this short message. And, of course, a thank you to our sponsors, Kiki Rogers of Country Financial Insurance, Vera Earl Premium Beef, Veteran Rescue Mission, The Guys Next Door, Picture Rock's Cooling, Heating, and Plumbing, Dirty Cactus Soap, ERC Junction, and Mafia Kitchen. I'll tell you, when Mafia Kitchen was out at the food festival the last weekend, it was incredible the amount of cannolis she sold.
Oh, wow.
And there's definitely a need for cannolis in Tucson. I didn't know that everybody needed cannolis. Welcome back to the Tucson Tasty Show. I'm your host, Wesley Source, here with Pastor John McLean of Veteran Rescue Mission.
Yes, sir.
Of Common Good Media, of so many more things.
Common Good networking groups, True Counseling, Home Community Services.
If you want to meet us and you want to network, come every Saturday to the north end of the Arizona Stadium. Saturday.
Every Saturday?
Every Saturday.
Wow.
Just for free.
Cool.
You'll be the only one there.
But we'll be there on Wednesdays.
Wednesdays.
Yeah.
There it is.
At 9
Wednesdays.
At 9 a.m.
I'm thinking about Saturday.
Okay.
When I can go to sleep. But every Wednesday is from 9, and great networking group, great location, and it's on the 5th floor. Everybody's invited.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
I mean,
everybody, bring your mom, your aunt, that cousin that you don't get along with. Well, we will turn them around.
That's Pastor John McLean, and I have nothing to do with that. But no, I super excited to introduce our next guest, a guest that is coming on to the show here, and this is Leslie and Greg of La Ramita Cellars. And
hi there.
She might need a microphone.
Yeah.
No small technical detail.
Yeah, just small details. Yeah.
And we have Greg on the phone.
Calling from space.
Yes.
How are you doing today?
Thank you for having Fantastic. Thank you for having us here.
Yes. Well, thank you for taking time away from your space mission to talk to us. That's just how you sound. That's how it sounds whenever anybody calls in. So that's what I think.
He's just up in Phoenix today, man.
Oh, okay, fair enough. Yeah.
But thank you
Sorry
for joining us
today.
today.
In person.
No. Thank you very much.
Thanks for having me.
Now, La Ramita Cellars has been around for a little while. Tell us a little bit about.
Yeah, so La Ramita, as one word, comes from Arizona's first port of entry from Mexico, the village of La Ramita. Of course, in Spanish, that means a twig. And that was actually the third attempt at naming the winery. But this whole project started. Well, let me back up a minute. This really is a hobby that got completely out of control. I always had an interest in wine, but didn't become a passion until about 2005. I started attending wine tastings at a small shop in Scottsdale, around the corner from where I was working at the time. One thing led to another. I started dabbling in home winemaking, and by 2012, I was making quite a bit of wine in my home, and of course, giving it all away. And my friends and family were saying, why aren't you doing this as a business? And I said, well, it's too much work, too much worry, too much bureaucracy. I didn't want to mess with it. But at the end of the day, I wasn't happy with those answers, so I decided to go ahead and pull the trigger on this. And I spent nearly 4 months looking for the property that would become my vineyard just outside of Wilcox. And that was in 2012. I planted my first vines in 2013, had my first harvest in 15, and started the winery in 2016. So I grow all my own grapes, again, just outside of Wilcox. The winemaking is a little bit of a collaboration with Rob Hamelman of San Reckoner Vineyards Winery. For various reasons, my winery isn't quite functional yet, but it's been great working with Rob, and that's where we're at.
Well, thank you very much for joining us. Now, I actually got introduced through a different winery. I was actually a wine club member with them, and one of your bottles got sent home with my wine box. Do you partner with other wineries sometimes?
Well, that's interesting. I'm not sure what the circumstances were there. We certainly sell a lot of fruit to other wineries. I even though I only have 13 acres of fruit, that's still more than I need. So I do sell a lot of fruit to other wineries, and we, I'm at various festivals, so it's possible. I'm not sure what the circumstances of that bottle were, but I do attend festivals at some other vineyards. So
I think it was like a dessert wine, and it was absolutely incredible.
It was our Padre Kino.
Yes, it was.
And
I went to every single one of the tasting rooms, and I scooped up every single one of those bottles because the vineyard that I was a part of, I could trade them for other bottles. And so I went and got as many as I could because they were just so delicious. Now they're all gone. But
but that's okay. There's 2022 Padre Kino.
Yeah.
See, I'm so excited.
Wow.
I'll hook you
We're
up.
going to have to try that. Yeah.
Now we can't call it a port because we're not in Portugal, but it is for all practical purposes a port. And as we were making the 2022, the 2021 is so popular, we really try to get the 2022 vintage dialed in. So you'll be very pleased with the 22, I'm sure.
That's exciting. Yeah, actually, one of the reasons that I stopped getting the wine from the other one was the other winery was because they stopped making a sweeter wine, and I like the red. Or every once in a while, I like that nice red, sweet wine because it's a little refreshing during the summer, right? It's
Absolutely.
A break.
Mm-hmm.
It also goes great with a couch, a fire, a cigar, some stinky cheese, the one you love.
A bearskin rug. Yeah, it all makes sense.
It's actually also really good over French vanilla gelato.
Oh, wow.
You know how to live, don't you?
Yeah.
Well, I try.
Yeah, I could tell.
You're on a good path.
Yeah. I think Leslie and I just became best friends. So Leslie and Wesley need to hang out more often. And Greg, maybe we can get together sometime.
There's no rhyme and name for him. We got Ron, John, and Sean in studio.
Yep.
Wesley and Leslie. And Tina and Greg.
All good.
Yeah.
But that is, it was really amazing. And I was wondering though, with such a variety of selection at I can't.
La Ramita.
Thank you. La Ramita.
You can pronounce it. You can pronounce it La Ramita or La Ramita. We do grow 18 different. La Ramita is fine too. Either pronunciation is fine. We grow 18 different varieties, and I want to have that kind of diverse lineup because I want to keep the wine club happy. I want to have a broad array of wines for different palates. So we got a little something for everybody.
Wow. Was there any challenges to grow wine or grow grapes in the Wilcox area?
What an amazing question. Thank you, Rod.
Now, the Tucson folks are more familiar. This is not a surprise necessarily to your listeners, I'm sure, but up in Phoenix and other parts of the state, people are surprised to learn the high deserts of southern Arizona are a very good place to grow wine grapes. And people think it'd be too hot or too dry, but really the problem is it can be too cold in the springtime. We sometimes have late spring frosts. Also in the summer, as we're approaching harvest, we have some monsoon rains, which can cause some problems. So our challenges are not the heat and the dry, it's really the cold and the wet, which is a little counterintuitive.
Yeah, we never think that in Tucson or Phoenix.
No, but generally speaking, Wilcox is a pretty good place to grow wine grapes. Many parts of the country, further north, they have to grow hybrid varieties, which are not as suitable for winemaking. But in Wilcox, we can grow all the European varieties you're familiar with, Merlot, Chardonnay, Syrah. Some do better than others for us in the winery. And we've had really the best luck with a number of different Italian varieties. Vermentino, Primitivo, which is also known as Zinfandel, and Montepulciano and Sangiovese. These Italians really do well for us.
That's all right. So with all these different varieties, what's your favorite? That's got to be.
Oh, that's like asking which child is your favorite child.
I'd say Mary. She's about 6 months old, but then I do have a 16-year-old. He's a really cool guy. So I don't know. Yeah. Between the two of them,
well, a lot depends on the circumstances. But I really fallen in love with Sangiovese. We grow the Brunello clone of Sangiovese, and I have never had a Sangiovese from California that I like as much as the ones that I've had from Arizona. Not just my Sangiovese, but Arizona is such a fantastic place for Sangiovese. Our Syrahs do very well as well. But Sangiovese produces for us such a lovely expression of the varietal, such nice fruit flavors. I don't even think you get those flavors from Sangiovese grown in Italy. So I would say overall for the reds, that's my favorite. Viognier among the whites. Viognier produces these lovely aromatic floral wines, and it's easy in the vineyard. It's easy in the winery. So I would say really those are my two favorites, the Sangiovese and the Viognier.
Right. Absolutely. The Perdite Verdot is one of my favorites, but then you also have the Sangiovese. That one's a really good one, and and it just completely left my mind.
Petite Syrah.
But we also among the Italians, Montepulciano also does very well for us. I'm considering expanding the block of that. I always like to blend a little something into my Sangiovese and my Montepulcianos to add a little backbone, a little structure. We grow Sagrantino, an obscure Italian red, which produces a really nice, big, bold, tannic, well-structured wine, which serves as a fantastic blending partner for those others.
Absolutely. Yeah, Grenache is what I was going to say. That one is...
yeah, Grenache. I don't grow Grenache, but you're right. There are some fantastic Grenache wines coming out of southern Arizona as well. It's a lovely variety for us in general in southern Arizona.
Yes, but we do have Mourvedre, which is my personal red favorite.
There's so many different grapes to ferment and taste.
I have no idea.
I had no idea either.
I have no idea what you guys are talking about. You guys are speaking another language, and I appreciate it.
Speaking of taste, we're in the next segment, we're going to have a taste of some of the wine. And thank you very much for holding through the break. We'll be right back. And Greg, I think you're going to explain to us how to taste the wine, which I'm really excited about.
I'm going to give you my perspective and a few tasting notes here.
Oh, we're going to get drunk in here.
No. It's small taste.
It's sacramental wine.
Yes.
And this is our last show.
This is hard. No, come on. It's just small taste. It's less than an ounce, and maybe a half an ounce for Pastor John. But we'll be right back after this break. Again, thank you so much to all our amazing sponsors. Kiki Rogers with Country Financial Insurance, Vero Premium Beef, ERC Junction, Veteran Rescue Mission, Pitcher Rocks, Cooling, Heating, and Plumbing, Dirty Cactus Soap, Mafia Kitchen. We'll be right back. Stay tasty, Tucson. Welcome back to the Tucson Tasty Show. I'm your host, Wesley Source, here with Pastor John McLean, my co-host.
Yes, sir.
How you doing?
I'm great. I'm just being the best wingman I can be.
I'm telling you, smelling these wines over the break, and it was a little bit of a long break, which I apologize about for everybody at home watching on YouTube. But it was worth it because it allowed time for the wine to aerate a little and kind of open up the bouquet. And I'm going to let Greg go ahead and correct everything I just said.
Yep, please,
because we have plastic cups.
Well, that's actually part of the discussion. Actually, what I want to do is start with the temperature of the wine. I think that white wines are best served maybe 55 or 60 degrees Fahrenheit. Red, maybe 60, 65, no more than 70. Now, most people don't have a wine cooler at home. If you're storing wine at room temperature, just put it in the refrigerator for a few minutes, maybe 20 minutes for reds, 30 minutes for whites before you open it.
Fair enough.
Number two, let's consider stemware, the glass. I prefer not to use plastic cups. I prefer to use a nice quality Bordeaux-style wine glass. That larger glass, a larger opening will be make it easier for you to evaluate the wine. Now, when I'm really seriously considering the wine, I don't pour a full pour, which would be 4 or 5 ounces. I pour maybe 2 ounces, not more than that. That allows me to give that wine a good spin and get that wine up on the inside of the wine glass where the alcohol can evaporate and carry with it some aromatic molecules, which will help me evaluate the wine. So the first thing you're going to do with that wine, that 2 ounces or so of wine, when you get in the glass, you're going to give that glass a little bit of a spin in your hand, or maybe hold it against it on a flat surface like a countertop and give it a little spin. Then you get your nose in that glass within an inch or so of the wine and really inhale deeply and exhale through your mouth. This is going to fully involve all of your olfactory senses and help you to evaluate that wine. Now, while you're considering the aroma, what next thing to do is to tilt the glass on its side, holding it over something white, white surface, white piece of paper. That will allow you to evaluate the color. And the color will tell you perhaps something about the age, the tannins, and it could tell you something about the the wine grape varietal as well if you really know your wines.
Mm-hmm.
And finally, let's take a sample of that wine. You want to take a little bit into your mouth, draw some air into your mouth over that wine, and exhale through your nose.
Incredible.
Again, this is going to fully involve all of your olfactory senses. Now, what you get from that wine is it's up to you. There are some objective truths to wine, but to some degree it's a little bit subjective, and you should never stress over, am I getting the right things out of this wine? Because you're not a seasoned sommelier. Just relax.
You
enjoy
speak
the wine.
for yourself, Greg.
I'm not.
The one that doesn't drink very much.
Yeah,
you're right.
I enjoy my wine, but I don't stress over it. And I don't have the palate of some of these sommeliers. Believe me, some of these folks could pick out, could tell you which vineyard, which part of the world, what year, and I'm not that. But you in white wines like Viognier, I mentioned before the break, I love Viognier, and there's a little bit of Viognier in this Dos Hermanas that you have. You're sampling, and that's Marsanne, Roussanne, and 20% Viognier. And the Viognier adds some really lovely floral aromatics. You might possibly get some stone fruit out of that. But again, whatever you get is what you get, and don't stress over that. Now, the red wine that we're sharing with you today is our Arismo, our Cabernet Merlot blend, which in 22 had a little bit of Carmenere and a little bit of Syrah. The Carmenere in 22 was expressing some green bell pepper notes because it was a very wet monsoon season for us, and that Carmenere responded by producing what's called pyrazines or pyrazines, which produce a green bell pepper aroma. As a small blending component of that wine, it adds a little bit of a peppery quality or a dill or sage quality to that wine, which is really quite interesting. And those are some of the things you might pick up in these two wines you're sampling.
Fair enough. So I do have to introduce somebody, and I was remiss in introducing him. We brought Sean Smiley of ERC Junction into the studio with us, and he's just been eating up every word that you've been saying. But I feel like I need to give you the mic for a second so you can introduce the segment.
Fantastic. Yeah, we're already kind of partway into tasting,
okay.
Right? So it is time now for my favorite part of the show, Tasty Bites with Pastor John McLean, brought to you by me, Sean Smiley, and ERC Junction.
Thank you, Sean. Now, ERC Junction, what does ERC Junction do?
So we help business owners who qualify, get money back from the IRS. It's a reward for keeping their people employed throughout the pandemic, keeping them on payroll.
Nice.
Cool. Greg, have you done your ERC yet?
I did not need to under the circumstances. It's a long, complicated story, but did not feel it was necessary. But
fair enough.
Okay, we'll spend the whole next episode on that story. But for now,
but one of the great things about ERC Junction, not only are they the sponsor of the Tasty Bites with Pastor John, but they are a staunch supporter of the Tucson Tasty show, and we have loved the partnership and promote them as much as possible. So thank you very much.
Helped Arizona restaurants on average get between $250,000 and $450,000 back.
Absolutely.
So, and there are lots of other businesses that can qualify.
Yep.
Yeah.
So with the wine, Sean, which one's your favorite so far?
I prefer reds in general, so that's.
I knew you were going to say that.
Yeah, exactly. So,
but that's actually a really solid white.
It's a fantastic white. I really like it.
I keep saying it lately, but I don't actually enjoy whites very often, just because I like the full body of the red, and I'm typically eating a steak, or some kind of beef. Hence Viral premium beef, right? I mean, that's why we want them on the show, so that they can supply my beef habit.
Yeah, absolutely.
So a question for you guys from La Ramita. What's of your reds, what's the kind of biggest, boldest, hardiest red?
Oh, clearly the Petite Syrah. And we're almost out of the 22 Petite Syrah, but we're following that up with a blend in 23 of my Primitivo and the Petite Syrah. We call that Dos Compadres, and it's an excellent, big, bold, fruit-forward, dry red wine.
Well, I guess I better get my order in for some Petite Sirah before it's gone.
Yeah,
I got you, Sean.
reach out to us to the website, and I'd be happy to set you up. Hey, I want to mention one thing. A lot of people ask about the wine's legs or the wine's tears, and that is a reference to how the wine clings to the inside of the glass. 20 years ago, everybody was talking about legs and tears, and the thing is, there are so many factors that impact that: the alcohol percentage of the wine, the quality of the stemware, the temperature of the stemware, the temperature of the wine. And while it could tell you something about the quality, the viscosity of the wine, there are so many other factors that have nothing to do with the wine that impact that. It's something that I do not consider.
But your red does have beautiful legs.
I'm sure it does. And the plastic cup you have may not be the best way to evaluate the legs.
Boss, they're clear plastic cups. You can actually see the legs on.
And you got away with saying it in front of your wife.
I know. I was going to make that joke. She got me.
I got you.
Producer Gina knows better. But there was a story. Sean, you're talking about.
So I've kind of heard rumors that there's an interesting history to how you kind of commandeered land. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
For the winery in the backyards, maybe?
Well, I'm not sure what you heard, but so I started as a hobbyist. I started as a hobbyist growing grapes in my backyard, in a friend's yard, and a relative's yard. And this is all in the Phoenix area, Mesa, Queen Creek. And as you would expect, it's very challenging to produce wine grapes in those environments. But that did teach me a lot, growing grapes in a very challenging environment. Once I started growing grapes at a proper elevation, in a proper location, it was actually a lot easier in most respects. So perhaps that's what you're thinking about.
Mm-hmm.
You took over your friends and family members' backyards. That's
yeah. Well,
actually.
as much as they would let me. And these are tiny. Maybe a dozen vines here and 2 dozen vines there, that kind of thing. But it was a good way to learn viticulture.
So, with the last minute that we have with you before we go out for this segment, can you tell us something that's coming up? You've got a couple events.
Yes.
We do have a couple of events. We have Savor coming up this Saturday at Tucson Botanical Gardens, and it's a fantastic event. Mm-hmm. Many different food and wine vendors
sold out
there.
in 15 minutes. I want to point out.
No, that's the Parma event. That was the City of Gastronomy Parma event.
Okay.
I thought they were both sold out,
but they are both sold out now. Totally.
Okay. Well, unfortunately, I guess that's I guess you can't go. But February 17th, Arizona Wine Growers Association is doing Off the Vine again. Unfortunately, it has moved from Steam Pump Ranch down south to, Leslie, help me out.
It's at Calista Park in Metalivina Ranch, which is right off of Houghton and Irvington. And I will
down the
be
street
there.
From me.
Yeah, we're going to be there, right there with you, Wesley, pouring wine.
Absolutely.
And us and a few dozen other wineries. And the nice thing about it this year is because it's a little closer to Elgin and Sonoyta, some of the wineries that didn't feel like trekking all the way up to Oro Valley are actually going to be there as well.
That's awesome.
So, one of the great things about Tucson being a city of gastronomy and having wine country so close is that we just need to get the word out. It's like having Italian wine and Italian food in Italy, 23 miles of Mexican food, and genuine Arizona wines are a beautiful match.
Thank you so much for coming, and thank you for calling into the show, Greg. Next time, we'll have to have you come into the studio and talk more about your wine. Again, this is Wesley Source, your host of the the Tucson Tasty Show, and we'll be right back with some amazing personal chef, actually. And thank you to our sponsors, Kiki Roger Country Financial Insurance, Vero Premium Beef, ERC Junction, and so many more. We'll stay tasty, Tucson. Welcome back to the Tucson Tasty Show. I'm your host, Wesley Source, here with Pastor John McClain. We still have Leslie here in studio. Thank you for hanging out a little bit longer. We kicked Sean out.
Sean.
Just kidding. He's in the corner, but he's hanging out a little bit more, enjoying a little bit more of that wine, that fine, amazing wine. And we have another amazing special guest, and her name is Jenna, Chef Jenna.
Yes.
And she is a personal chef, and she's going to tell us what a personal chef is and define that for us. But she's with a culinary inheritance, and you also do so much more.
And she's also a culinary consultant.
And a culinary
Which I really
consultant.
look forward to finding out what that is, because I need some culinary consultation.
I am here for
Yes,
it.
you do, John.
Yeah, absolutely. How
We're
do I
trying
cook toast
here.
again?
But in fact, I could probably fill an entire YouTube channel on showing you how to cook.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
Or maybe I can just get Chef Gianna to do it.
That would probably be easier that way.
That would be a blast.
Yeah,
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Cooking with John, a culinary exploration of how to cook toast.
Absolutely.
And it just sounds amazing, right? No?
Absolutely.
In the toaster, you can do it in the oven, maybe even a pan. I've never cooked toast in a pan, but I'm sure it's possible.
It's amazing. You put
you
butter and a little olive oil, and it soaks
Okay.
it up, and then it's crunchy.
Mm-hmm.
Some people call it fry bread sometimes.
Interesting.
Or we could bring you into the woods. We'll go camping over a live
Ooh.
fire. See what that does
I
to
mean, that sounds
toast.
fun to some people, not me necessarily, but well, yeah.
As long as there's wine involved, everything is fun.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, that's a fair point. Yeah.
We'll go
So,
with
tell us a little bit about what you do
Sure.
here in Tucson, and then we'll go into why. I mean, here in Tucson, why are you here in Tucson?
I would love
And,
to.
Yeah, go ahead.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate
course.
it. It's a lot of fun. And I could talk about food and wine all day long, so I'm here.
Yeah.
The name of my company is A Culinary Inheritance. I
Mhm.
started it at the beginning of last year.
Mhm.
Awesome.
My background is in food science and human nutrition. I've been in the food industry for over 20 years. So most of my career I spent in the flavor industry. So we can talk a little bit about that too.
Right.
That's
which is a lot of
weird.
fun.
No, I'm kidding.
It's a mystery. Nobody knows very much about it.
Yeah.
But I moved to Tucson about 2 years ago.
Mhm.
I worked for a local resort on their pastry team for a little bit of time, just so I could get my feet wet, get back in the industry here.
Mhm,
And
mhm.
at the beginning of last year, I was like, I'm ready. I'm ready to work for myself. So the goal was to give people the gift of time. There are a lot of my clients that don't have time. They're busy working, they're parents, they're traveling for work. They don't have time to plan and grocery shop and cook. So that's where I come in. I do that. I make custom menus. I tailor what I'm making to a customer's dietary requirements. For example, I cooked for a client last week, and she's gluten-free, dairy-free, and soy-free. So I made a custom menu, and she had friends over for a celebration, for a party. And so she was like, this is the first time I have had a party for myself, and I can eat everything, and I can enjoy it. So
Fair enough.
that was just such a gift that I was able to give to her. My main focus is meal prep. So I'm out to cook local, healthy, fresh foods, stock your fridge and freezer, and give you some time back in your schedule. So
That's awesome.
I see someone waving in the corner. Pick me.
Sean Smiley has volunteered as her first customer. No. See, driving business. That's
Thank you.
what's important now. Why? I mean, what made you go from such an illustrious career as a flavor technician? How would you?
Food scientist.
Food scientist.
Food
So
scientist.
gastronomy.
That sounds
fancy.
fancy.
What would?
Gastromologist?
No, that's not
Is that
the
what-
gastronomy.
So I worked
Gastronomist?
closely with a team of flavorists or flavor chemists.
Goodness.
And I was the food scientist that they would pass a flavor along to. And so I worked on all kinds of food and beverage products. Yeah, we can dive into that in a little bit. But
Yeah.
I don't know, just a few years ago, I was ready for a change. I actually took a road trip with my mom. I'm originally from Illinois, the Chicago area.
Go Midwestern girls.
Oh, yeah.
Michigan.
Michigan. Just, it's such a gem of the Midwest. Nobody
Go Cubs.
Nobody goes to Michigan. Oh, go Cubs. Thank you.
Sorry.
No, that's okay. We'll allow. I got the Lions and the
No,
Packers. I
I'm
have
wearing my
nothing to
U of A
complain
socks
about.
today. Usually I wear my Cub socks when I come into the studio,
Nice.
but I'm wearing my U of A with the new coach coming into town
Yeah.
this last week. You know, I had this
Gotta represent. I get it.
bear
Yeah.
down.
Bear
Yeah.
down.
Sorry,
it's cool.
Completely off track.
Flavor
Go
is
ahead.
to where we're at now.
Yeah. So a few years ago, I was ready for a change, and I actually took a road trip with my mom, and there were a few places in New Mexico and a few places in Arizona that I wanted to check out. And once I got to Tucson, I was like, this is it. This is where I want to move because it's a city of gastronomy. The food scene here is amazing.
Yeah.
And I thought, the end goal was to work for myself,
Right.
Do some consulting, do the personal chef thing. And I'm like, I can make it work in Tucson. And I'm an outdoorsy girl. Like, I love to hike and bike and camp.
Speak to that food scene being amazing, because me being definitely still an outsider, even with this show, because Wesley's definitely been the one rolling up his sleeves and jumping in full bore. Like, what makes it so amazing? Because from us outsiders, I hear that what's so great about Tucson, like you go to other Portland and Seattle and these other places, they have kind of more variety of like Filipino food and all the kind of like different countries around the world. But Tucson, it's pretty much it doesn't have that same level of variety.
Can I just say though? I mean, okay, so I've been a lot of different places, and one of the first things that we noticed when we were traveling was, let's go to a restaurant. Oh, everything's closed, but it's 8:00 at night. Let's go here, but the line's around the corner because it's the only restaurant within 20 miles that's open. And I mean, you go up north, and I'm not going to say the name, but you go up north of here, and there really isn't anything outside of Scottsdale, and even the stuff in Scottsdale, it'll price you right out of the market because it's all the steakhouses and high-end restaurants and fine dining, which is good on occasion, but when I'm trying to go out with a family, you're looking for something that's open, that's reliable and consistent, and that's what we have here in Tucson, especially with the 23 miles of best Mexican food in the country.
And the fact that my family, I actually am City of Gastronomy OG. My family owned the Hidden Valley Inn.
OG. Oh wow, there you go.
So yeah, so I go way back, and I can speak to just the amazing people that were in the business back when I was very young here. But the ones that we've worked with today, we have done La Ramita wine dinners with Zio Pepe.
Yep.
And we have also done Heritage Highland Stub Mountains. We are looking forward. We have done several gut dinners as well.
Yeah.
So it's such an honor to be approached for having such an outstanding product and such a wonderful wine that it gets to be paired with that caliber of food. So, you
have that as well, but then you have, and that's the whole point, is that you have a lot of selection, you have a lot of options, and you have a lot of things that are open. I mean, you can go one street to another and find something. Now, out in Oro Valley, you start to hit these dry spots in Tucson.
What about you, Chef Jenna, since I asked you?
Honestly, I love the variety in Tucson. When I first visited, just doing some Googling, okay, I'm looking for something that I've had before. I don't know if it exists here. Googling it, Bosnian food. I've had some of the best Bosnian food. It's Chef Elisa's. It's
interesting.
Just on your way up to Oro Valley. Fantastic.
So you think it's a misnomer that there's not enough variety?
I think so.
Interesting.
And even at the farmers markets and whatnot too. I mean, you can get the best bites and tastes of things at the farmers market. And it's relatively, if you're new to the food scene and you want to kind of dip your toe in, going to the farmers market is the best way to try new things or get your kids to try new things, right? Okay, for $7, okay, let's try it. Let's sample it. Let's taste it. And I think it's a great way to explore new foods, new flavors, new textures.
Absolutely.
And you can get high-end fine dining here too. But I really think there's variety. I mean, we're known for
Indian,
oh my gosh, yeah.
Ethiopian, Bosnian, as you said.
Cuban. Yeah.
Well, I lived in Miami for 20 years, so you're going to have to convince me on that one. But
I'll meet you at Moho Cuban Kitchen after this. Okay, we'll go right now. You don't even have to talk me into it. They have traditional Cuban coffee there that I haven't been able to find outside of Florida. So I mean, but yeah, you're right. And
uno colada, por favor, señor. Gracias.
No habla español. Got me.
This is fun. I'm enjoying.
You guys
this.
should hang out more often because usually he's the one that gets me off kilter. But
yeah, you're fun. You're fun, Leslie. Yeah, I could tell.
I do my best.
So, how can people get a hold of you
Yes.
with the last minute that we have for you? How can everybody get a hold of you? Where can we find you? And what areas do you cover?
Well, thanks for asking. My website is aculinaryinheritance.com.
Nice.
You can submit a request through the website. So I work on weekly meal prep for some clients or specialty one-off occasions. For instance, I cooked for a family friend for Thanksgiving, 2 days before Thanksgiving. They were going out of town, and she said, I don't want to cook Thanksgiving, but I want Thanksgiving. So will you come to the house, make it, pack it up in to-go containers, and we'll drive to the mountains and enjoy Thanksgiving in 2 days?
How dreamy.
Yeah.
That
So
would be
whatever the
incredible.
request is, you let me know.
Yeah.
I want to make your life easier, and I love food and I love people. So
Nice.
aculinaryinheritance.com. I'd love to hear from you.
aculinaryinheritance.com.
Yeah.
Yes.
That is easy. You
I
just go on the
know.
website,
She
you
loves
sign up,
food.
and you
She
go.
loves
I'm on
people.
Instagram,
She loves
too.
people
And
made out of
Instagram.
food. She loves it all.
Just quick question:
All of the above.
How did you enjoy the Tucson Charity Food Festival? Because you were there and you enjoyed quite
It
a
was
few of
great.
the.
Thank you so much for the invitation.
Of
So I
course.
have family in town this week, and we went to the festival, and we got the sampler platter of barbecue, and we sat in the sunshine, and
Yep.
we had the most delicious lunch.
Thank you for coming out and
Um,
supporting. Yeah.
It was great. Yeah.
That was a
Well,
good time.
It's another week, another show on the Tucson Tasty Show. In February 4th, we're going to start our first live show, which is going to be exciting. And so make sure you tune in and check us out on YouTube. We're live right now. Thank you for joining us. Next week, we will have La Olia Mexican Cafe. And I said it slow for a reason, who will talk to us about chili rellenos. Thank you to our special guests and sponsors, Greg and Leslie of La Ramita, Jenna, Viral Premium Beef, Veteran Rescue Mission, Guys Next Door. Stay tasty, Tucson.